Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donuts shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
And I just missed the quarter.
I can play you with some other music. It's Super Tuesday. See, it goes right into the nice bed there. You like that? I evaluated all the election music, and this was the best. It really is a good election theme. What?
It doesn't cue me up for the half or the 3/4 there, though.
It would have done the half. I got it like right. The flourish ended right at the half.
Yeah. Regardless, it's 8:12 on the nose.
All right, works for me.
How long have you been doing this, Kathy?
I don't.
You know that microphone is supposed to be aimed right at your mouth, right?
Yes, I do. Yep.
That's at an odd angle.
That is very odd, yes.
You're talking over the top of it.
May I correct
Well,
it?
it depends on where I'm sitting. I tend to move around a lot.
Yeah. I'm going to turn down the microphone. There we go.
I move around a lot. Sometimes I'm here, sometimes there. It depends on what's going on. Sometimes. Hello. Good morning, everyone.
See, but with it being up like that, you can twist either way, like this. You can twist.
No, at
left
my
or
age,
right.
honey, you don't twist a lot, no matter what. Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Palmer from WS. Oh, wait a minute. Ken's here today. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry. Your time is coming quickly.
Oh, I know.
I looked ahead.
I know.
If I was going to say I'm back, but I was actually
Back.
I was actually on the air last week.
You're back.
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, on Thursday. That's right.
Yeah, on Thursday.
Ah. Okay.
He was here for the WTA chili cook-off, which was quite
Okay.
tasty.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I could not do that because I'm not a big chili eater. I like it, but not enough to discern different chilies.
No.
I would just go, okay, it's good.
I
Good for me.
I ate so much that
Okay.
morning that I was able to go grocery shopping afterwards and not fill up on ho-hos and ding
There you
dongs.
go. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with filling up on ho-hos or anything, whatever. So welcome back. We missed you. We did miss you. Well,
Apparently not, because you get more traction than I do.
traction.
Why'd you look at the views?
I looked at the views, yeah.
She promotes. Well, that's true.
I never even saw her promote.
That's true. She didn't promote.
No, I didn't. No, I forgot.
And I didn't promote last
forgot.
night, which is coming up later on today.
Okay, no. Well,
You
I
missed the
was at
promotion
rehearsal,
attempt?
so I
Yeah.
don't know. I was busy at rehearsal, which means I missed the voice last night, Peter. Did you catch it?
No.
Madison.
I actually got to email Maddie because we
Yeah,
got
she
something
made
coming
it.
up for the drama club.
Well, Madison made it through. Good for her. Excellent.
I heard she got 4 turns.
She did. That's what I'm hearing.
She does have a beautiful voice.
Yes, she does.
I mean,
Yes,
and
she
she's
does.
got range too. That's the thing.
But it isn't only that. She has stage presence, and that matters.
That's
You-
true.
You can have the best voice in the world, and if you don't have it in front of a camera, you're dead.
You know,
You're
I was talking
absolutely
about that with Michael Buster McMahon.
Yeah.
Was talking about that because he does karaoke. He said, I'm not the greatest singer, but I know what songs I can sing and what songs I can't. And he goes, I've been out with people that are incredible singers. They have no stage presence. And he goes,
Oh,
I
I
beat them.
know.
He goes,
Oh,
I
I
beat them in
know.
competitions. And he goes, and they get pissed at me. And I'm like, well, I know how to play it up in front of the crowd.
You're preaching to the choir. We have people that come in and audition, and they have wonderful, wonderful voices, but they fall flat.
It's like looking
just
at
fall flat.
an empty room.
Yep. Which reminds me, speaking of talent, we do have.
As she looks at me.
Well, I do
You
look
do
at
have
him for
talent.
talent. I do look at him for talent. He's younger than I am, has more energy than I do. But anyway, we do have the Harlot Queens, not the Harlequins, the Harlot Queens appearing this Saturday at the Westfield Women's Club. I believe showtime is 7. I'm not exactly sure. There's enough information out there. It's on Experience Westfield sites. It's on the Westfield Women's Club
So
site.
you know the thing.
The thing?
Yeah.
What is the
There's
thing?
enough information out there. You know the thing.
What?
Yeah, the thing.
What is he talking about, Peter? The thing. I don't know what you're talking about, but it is for adults only. It is not recommended for children. As a matter of fact, if you bring a child, we will not let you in. It is adults. So what is the thing? Tell me about
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
The thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have all the information, but it's all out there. You know the thing.
Hey, don't even make fun of that, because I do that myself sometimes. I just go, yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But I've always done that. It's not an age thing. It's just I don't remember half the time.
Lately, when I get people fired up politically now, they ask me, well, give me an example, or give me proof, or show me this. At that point, I say, well, if you don't really know any of this, then you're actually the problem. I mean, Jesus.
No, he.
And another response I've been using: Google is your friend.
Google is your friend.
Yeah.
Until they give you skewed results.
Yeah.
Google.
That whole
Google.
AI thing with them has become quite
All
a
right,
nightmare.
moving right along, because I'm not getting into this one. You know better than that.
Well, it's
You know
becoming
better than that.
becoming a nightmare for them.
Good
I'm just
enough.
saying it's not a good business decision. That's all.
Okay. What have you?
I like
got?
playing with AI with the images now.
Oh yeah. Well, have you noticed there was an article in the paper, folks, about plagiarism in colleges and universities, and it's increasing. And all I wanted to say, Peter, is you think?
Well, it just shows that our unfortunately our kids are not being held to task, and but they don't realize they're becoming dumber because they're not doing the work.
I think you're absolutely correct. However, did you see the article this week about attendance in the schools? And it was targeting Holyoke, but it mentioned other schools that. What I don't understand. I do understand it. I'm saying I don't, but I do.
Is attendance up or down?
Is that these kids, it's way down in high school, and kids are just saying to their parents, I don't want to go today. Would you have said that to your parents? And
No.
would they have let you stay home? Because
you would have come up with a plausible excuse, and you would have like acted really ill if you really wanted to.
acted ill. You had to have a fever, a broken leg, or some other
I think through
noticeable malady.
my entire school career, I think I took. There was one day where I just wasn't feeling it, and I think I literally made myself ill.
You could have, yeah.
And because I think I was dreading being there because of something that was going on with a bullying thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally made myself physically ill, and
And I
my
think you
poor
can do
aunt had to
that,
come
yeah.
pick me up. But then I corrected the bullying problem afterwards and had to go to the principal's office because I got in a fight and corrected the bullying problem. And then that physical dread of going into school went away.
Well, I don't like to generalize, and I shouldn't generalize, but the idea that a child can say, I don't feel like going, and they get away with it just amazes me because, Peter, can you say on your job, I don't feel like going today?
No.
Well, I mean, you can. You can.
Here's the better
But you
question.
lose your job.
When did parents become friends and not parents?
And not parents. Yep. Yeah. I know. Well,
That's my biggest question, because it's like at some point it's okay to be their friend sometimes, but at some point you have to be a guiding force. You don't have to be a disciplinarian. That's different. You have to be a guiding force, and sometimes that guiding force needs to be a little stiffer than normal.
You know,
How's that?
You know, Gen X. So we came from the most independent generation of all time, and the Gen X parents are the ones to start to blame for becoming friends with their kids.
I have said
Well,
that
and
when
part
we
of it-
complain about it. We raise these children, so
Part of it became from there was at some point there was the kids were told that if it wasn't going their way, they could call DCF and get their parents basically spanked. They could become the disciplinarians, and that's when things started to turn a little bit. There was no, I wouldn't say fear. There was no, maybe I will say fear. There was no fear of reprisal for anything the kids did. And that's where we're at nowadays. The kids think they run the show. And to a certain extent they do.
Don't think. Yeah, they don't think they do, Peter. They do.
I was
do.
talking with somebody over the past week that is a kid. Yes, they're in high school, but they're a kid. And through the thing of the conversation, they were venting about their parents. And I said, look at it from their point of view. Put yourself in their shoes for a minute, because they don't do that. And when I went through it and I gave them their parents' point of view, because I'm older and they're a kid, they were like, oh, I never thought about it that way. I says, well, when you have your interactions with your parents, first of all, they're not perfect. Second of all, they're doing the best they can. And third of all, you have to look at it when you have a quiet time to reflect, not in the heat of battle, because that's different. But you got to think about it from their point of view. They might be doing what they think is best for you. And the reaction I got was, wow.
There isn't a
Okay.
child in the world who doesn't vent about their parents.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they also need something reinforcing, saying, "Hey, your parents are actually trying. They're trying to do good, or do the best they can for you.
I also
they're not perfect."
I also think, to interject here, that maybe, and again, this is open for discussion, and you may agree and you may not, folks. It's okay. I'm a big girl. I can handle dissension. Oh, don't. No, I'm just kidding. They think they have an equal vote, and sometimes they don't. The parents have the vote. Kids don't always have the equal say.
Yep.
And they think today they do. Oh, well, are we boring you, Ken? Did you have something to say today?
If Peter's going to continue taking this much interest in the conversation, he has to open up the center square.
I know. I want to see him. I don't get to see Peter.
All right. Usually I do it when
I
you're
love
doing an
listening to
interview.
Peter.
So
Yeah.
I don't always agree, but I love listening to him.
But before we started beating up on the millennials and Gen Z,
there we go.
Yep.
we were talking about AI. So I'm on the.
It all kind of leads in together.
There you are.
So I'm on the aeroplane, and I'm playing around with Copilot. So I started out half a year ago with ChatGPT, and I'm learning some of the things. And then the Adobe suite brought in AI, which was really great. But Copilot,
Is that the Microsoft product?
that's the Microsoft product.
That's the one that they paired with OpenAI for.
Yeah. So on the aeroplane,
Yes.
I decided to play with Copilot. And if you want to jump to my laptop, I created this with AI, Copilot AI, with just a sentence. So I asked Copilot
I saw
to
this.
create a photograph of a cat playing pool with two dogs watching. And that's what it came up with. It's not bad. The cue stick isn't really placed properly, but for first generation AI with this particular software, it's not bad.
No,
Close
I
enough.
liked it. I thought it was adorable.
Yeah.
It was really cute. Really cute. The cat wins.
Yeah, so
Every time.
I have a feeling at some point I'm going to get sucked into paying the $20 or $30 a month.
By the way, did you notice there's too many cue balls?
Oh. Okay.
There's two cue balls and
There's
then
two
an
cue
odd
balls
ball,
there.
odd white ball there too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not perfect.
There's no white striped ball.
Yeah, I know.
There's a yellow striped ball, and if you look at a reflection on that cue ball, it could be a very pale yellow on the one closest to us. But yeah. Also, I'm noticing something else.
The balls are different sizes.
No. Bounce over. Okay. Middle of the screen towards the left. There's two orange balls. I believe orange is 5.
Yeah, and then there's two.
And look at the
numbers on the other one.
And look at the
blue
number.
one.
Look at the numbers on it. And then the blue one. There's multiple numbers, and one of the numbers looks like a Japanese or a Chinese letter or word, and it's not even placed properly. And then there's another ball by the
So it ain't
right-hand
perfect
paw.
yet.
So that's just yeah. Now that I really started to critique it and look at it, yeah, there's 2 5 balls on there.
Yeah, but it's still cute. It's got a cat. Doesn't matter.
It's got a cat.
Got a cat. Mm-hmm. We don't
Yeah.
care about the balls.
Yeah. Do cats actually have eyes deep blue like that too?
Yeah, they can. I wouldn't see it on an orange cat, but yeah, they can. White cats have blue eyes. A white male cat with blue eyes is almost always deaf. It's a genetic trait.
I've read an article about AI, and one of the biggest industries now in AI. Well, they're always like technological. The porn industry is huge into AI.
Really?
Oh God, yes.
Oh, that
There's
makes sense.
there's Instagram accounts popping up for girls who don't exist, and they're getting millions of followers.
That's funny. Wasn't there an old movie about that, Peter, where they created an AI girl, an
Yep.
AI star?
Yeah, what was it called?
I don't remember it.
Oh, what was it? I saw it.
It's coming to pass.
What was it called? something.
It was a girl's name, wasn't it?
No, it was like Mirror Image or something like that. Or
You're not talking about Cherry 2000.
no, that was different. That was a robot.
No,
Yeah.
this was it was a hologram of a girl, and she was a big star. And
It
nobody
was like
knew
in the
she
early
wasn't-
'80s.
She wasn't real. They thought she was real.
Yeah, and they go through there's a shootout going. The end of the movie, there's a shootout going through the sets, and she's still talking, and these two guys are shooting it out through the set, and it's like, and you're seeing it on TV. These two guys shooting it out, and they're expressing their faces, and she's still doing ads on these sets where she's projected into. What was that called?
Well, I have to find it.
Yeah, I'll have to find that one.
Find it.
So I think, I hate subscribing to apps and programs and whatnot. I've learned I have to for a few things, and I think soon I might be dropping 20 or 30 a month onto an AI app or an AI package to get even more powerful and more precise responses to what I'm looking for.
I think it's going to be very dangerous for you to create AI.
There's some weird stuff up in this noggin.
Oh, you know what the film was?
Can't
The
imagine.
film was called Looker.
Looker. That doesn't even ring a bell with me.
The idea of a virtual actor was first portrayed in the 1981 film Looker, wherein models had their bodies scanned to digitally create 3D computer-generated image of the models, then animating said models for use in TV commercials. I remember that one.
Yep, I do too. I don't know why, but I do.
I don't.
No, that's amazing because you remember every film, every song ever made. I'm amazed that we knew something you didn't.
Yeah. Never even heard of that one.
So what are you going to do with your AI? I'm a little bit afraid.
I think artwork.
Now, would you, because I really know very little about AI, would you be able to insert some AI into the videos you make?
Absolutely.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
We can now with the help of an Adobe suite program called Animate. We also have a program called After Effects, which there's no limits as to what you can do. The Adobe suite, which is what we all use here now, is the closest you can get to the high-power software that the studios in Hollywood are using.
Interesting,
Yes.
but frightening. Mm-hmm. I know how your mind works.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Look at the look on your face.
I've been waiting for an economical AI photo generator come around, and I think it's just right around the corner. And I just want to have fun with it. I don't want to deceive anyone. I don't want to use it to come
just
ahead of anything.
play.
I just want to.
You just want to play.
I want to create some screwy things.
Be afraid, Peter. Be very afraid.
Oh, I'm always
It'll
afraid.
be awesome if I start drinking again, right?
No.
Like I said, the big thing out there is on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can create a literally lifelike avatar, both video and audio. And now, what's real out there?
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people. There's a model I was reading about in not Venezuela, Argentina, I think, or Brazil. Cassandra Cedar, that has embraced the AI and releases some real pictures, and then a lot of AI stuff, and you cannot tell the difference. You just can't.
I think this is part of a concern for performance artists, because you can feature a movie where they don't need people at all, where it can just eventually.
Well, that was why the actors went on. That was why SAG-AFTRA went on strike.
I know they were against the AI use of it. Yes.
They're not against it.
Yes.
They're not against it. They want to get paid for it.
I see.
They want to license. You want to be able to license your image, just like they license song. Just like a composer licenses a song. I think they wanted to say, "Hey, you can use our images, but you have to license them."
Yeah, don't use George Carlin's likeness without permission. Google it.
Yeah, you have to license it.
Yeah.
I've seen several ones that they've done that where they do it with Frank Sinatra. I've seen him. I've seen Fred Astaire.
There's been CGI stuff where they like Natalie Cole doing not CGI, but
That,
doing
that,
it
that's
with,
holo-
their dad.
That's holographic.
Right, but then but it's
Yeah.
close enough. It's in the same realm.
And if you've actually seen any of those holographic performances in person,
Yes.
it's not bad.
What was the one?
I've seen them in the amusement
Oh,
parks, and from a distance, it's almost impossible to tell. They're not real people. I mean, you can tell it's a projection, but it's really hard to tell.
Didn't the Beatles release have some stuff that they finished it with AI?
Oh, I think
The
you might be
Beatles song,
right.
I think they finished some of the audio tracks with AI.
You might be right.
They sampled the voice with AI or something like that, or they did an AI generated track. I think I was reading about that, wasn't it? The
I don't
Beatles
know.
track?
Was it the Beatles or was it some other group? Because
No,
I
I think
remember
it was
reading something within
Beatles.
the past few weeks where they just found music or they found audio tracks.
heard
and
that, but yes.
they found audio tracks and they had to build
An
music
audio
to it.
track.
Yeah, I don't quite.
But I don't
what that
remember the
was.
details about it. I remember
Does
seeing
the
audio
Beatles song Now and Then use AI? Machine learning is used to recognize John Lennon's voice and isolate it from other sounds, a piano, television background, electric hum, to make it usable in a new recording.
Wow.
Jeff could have gotten Julian to do that.
Well, maybe we're all getting superfluous. Did you like that word? Superfluous.
Yeah, what was that on your calendar this morning?
What's on my calendar was my word of the day, superfluous.
Superfluous?
Superfluous, yes.
Les Tingley says, at this point, I would vote for an AI president. I don't know about
So-
that. I really don't want the machines in control. We've already seen that future. It's called Terminator.
One never knows where we're headed. Uh-oh.
Do you have a rant today, by the way?
There was a deep sigh.
Now that we're halfway into the quarter into the show?
Oops. Oopsie.
So can I mention that this is the den, Ken's den?
Oh, is that what we're doing? Peter.
I thought we were just riffing today.
Yeah. It's Peter's show.
No, it's not.
He doesn't.
So let me
take
try that again.
responsibility.
Have I mentioned that it's the den, Ken's den?
Good morning, Ken. It's nice to see you.
Jesus
Welcome
Christ.
The views expressed by the host
Thank
are
you,
those
Pete.
solely of his own, not those of Westfield State University, the radio club, our underwriters, or Mr. S drinking some water behind me at the doorway.
back. Cue, Peter.
He's not even in the room, he said.
Welcome to the Tuesday morning ramblings of a man who's had more adventures in the past month than a cat with a GPS tracker strapped to its tail. Let's dive into this whirlwind of misadventures and occasional triumphs. So a month ago, I embarked on what was supposed to be a blissful beach getaway in Miami. But oh no, fate had other plans. I booked a place that made the Bates Motel look like the Ritz-Carlton. I swear, even the cockroaches were wearing hazmat suits.
Wow.
I had to bail faster than a politician caught in a scandal and ended up cozying up at a hotel near the airport. Because who needs ocean views when you can serenade yourself to sleep with the sweet symphony of jet engines? Actually, I don't mind that. And
I don't
thank, I want to just pause right now and thank everyone in Westfield for bitching and complaining about jets taking off at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't mind it. Now, I found myself awake at 3:15 in the morning for some reason, but I never heard the jet. So apparently they flew over my house and then I woke up. But because of all the bitching and complaining, I know why I woke up now at 3:15 and then went right back to sleep at 3:16.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, to add insult to injury during that week, Mother Nature decided to throw a curveball with the coldest weather Miami had seen in ages. I'm talking penguins wearing parkas. It was colder than a penguin's dreams of becoming a flamenco dancer. But fear not, for every storm cloud has a silver lining, or in this case, a golden suntan.
I noticed.
Fast forward. Yeah. You see the color now, right? Yeah. So fast forward to this past week now, or rewind forward to this past week.
Go back.
See what I'm doing there?
I do.
I found myself at a resort where they actually remembered my name. It's like Cheers, but with sunscreen and fewer existential, with fewer crises. Is it crisis? I didn't proofread this. Well, I read it through once. I meant to check that out. When you have crises, is it crises or crisis? That's where I got hung up here.
I would say more than one crisis.
And
Put it that way.
Fewer than more than one crisis. Okay, maybe I should have written that.
I think it's crises.
All right. I basked in the sun, frolicked in their pristine pool. Heated, might I add, because I refuse to swim unless the water is warmer than my ex's heart. I even managed to keep my food costs down thanks to the magic of Ozempic.
Okay.
But here's the kicker, folks. With great savings comes great responsibility.
True.
Or in my case, a lowered alcohol tolerance.
Ruh-roh.
I mean, I used to be able to outdrink a fraternity brother on St. Patrick's Day. But now, one too many margaritas and I'm out like a light on a power outage. And speaking of bouncing back, let me tell you about my journey home from a night out that felt like a pilgrimage from the hangover gods. My Uber driver was the human embodiment of a Zen garden, insisting on silence, because apparently he enjoys the tranquility of driving since he has 4 kids turning his living room into a war zone. And the next morning was the start of some serene days by the pool. Ah, yes, the joys of resort life. The tranquil sounds of nothing. The swimming warmth of the hot tub. And then the late afternoon crowd comes in. And you are blessed with the delightful sight of children treating it all like their personal playground. I mean, who needs peace and relaxation when you can have chaos and cannonballs? Am I right?
You're right.
But let's talk about these little angels, shall we?
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
They're like Olympic
dear.
athletes, sprinting between the pool and the hot tub with the grace of a gazelle and the disregard for rules of a rebel without a cause.
Uh-oh.
And who can blame them? It's like a water wonderland out there. And the rules? Merely suggestions, apparently. Now, I'm not one to point fingers.
Oh. I am.
But let's address the grown-ups in the room.
Uh-oh.
Or should I say, the grown-up who thought it was perfectly acceptable to turn the hot tub into a lunch counter.
Oh.
I mean, really, what's next? A buffet line at the bottom of the pool? Call me old-fashioned, but I prefer my meatball subs without a side of chlorine. Thank you very much.
That's gross. Gross.
But hey, who needs common decency when you've got a sandwich and a soak, right?
Ugh.
I mean, it's 2024, folks. I thought we left the caveman dining habits behind with the invention of the wheel. But apparently, some people missed the memo. Perhaps we need to install some cave paintings around there to remind them of proper hot tub etiquette. So to all the resort revelers out there, let's remember, hot tubs are for relaxing, not reenacting scenes from Waterworld.
Uh-oh.
And for the love of all that is sanitary, please leave the meatball subs on dry land where they belong. Let's strive for a future where our resort experiences are as civilized as we pretend to be. So in the end, there I was, living the glamorous life of a jet-setting, pool-lounging, alcohol-intolerant adventurer. Who needs Vegas when you've got Miami on a budget and Orlando on a budget and an Uber driver who moonlights as a monk? Until next time, stay classy, stay sassy, and may your hangovers be as fleeting as your regrets.
Nice one. Nice one. Are you going?
There was literally someone sitting in the hot tub eating a meatball grinder.
I don't know why you would want to do that.
How? By the way, how was Mrs. Potato?
Oh yeah, I ordered the bacon rosti.
Wasn't that tasty?
Yeah, and I got like last time I got 2 meals out of it.
Love Mrs. Potato.
Yeah.
Are you going back to the same place the next time?
Yes, I am, because they know me.
I might actually go there. It sounds like a nice place.
Yeah, I go walking past the pool into the main part of the building, and there's a old Jamaican bartender who works a pool bar there at night, and he caught me out of his eye, and he's like, "Hey, Teddy, how you doing, man?" And he's screaming it across the pool. I'm like, "What the hell's going on here?" So I like different things. I like a different change of scenery, but I know what to expect here. And it's not fancy, it's not glamorous, but it gets the job done. It's not super expensive. The room, I usually land it on a promotion for like $80 a night. And there's a fridge, a microwave, the bathrooms are decent. I mean, rooms are good size.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense to go back to the same spot.
Yeah, so I'll be going back there in a few more weeks.
Oh,
To get this a little darker.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
You've completely abandoned Vegas, huh?
No, I'm going to Vegas in April because pools don't open in Vegas until April.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I've already got the reservation at the Link. I'll be staying at the Link this time around.
Okay, is it easier to say when are you home?
It's
That's probably easier.
No, because after that, I'm pretty much home because I'll have a pool.
A good point. Good point.
Yeah, I don't really go away in the
Hopefully.
summer.
No, that's right.
But August, I do have Vegas already booked. That's going to be Flamingo.
Is that when I come back? You're gone?
No, where are you going? Back to Florida?
No, we moved to Alabama, but I'm only going for like one series this time, I think. I think I'm going for a series, then coming back, and then they want to fly me to Branson, Missouri to check out broadcasting their 12s, which is the same as what they do for Little League.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Little League is on ESPN. Our 1270s are in Branson, Missouri
Okay.
at Ballparks of America. They think they want me to check out that operation to see if we can duplicate it.
Interesting.
So it might be a 3-day. I might go out for 10, come back for 3 or 4 or 5, and then go out for another 3 and then come back.
Interesting. Yes. Yes. Uh-oh, you're looking something up.
It's the 3rd or 4th week in August. I'm going to Flamingo.
I'll be back for that.
Yeah. And then I am looking. I booked a cruise for the end of January.
Oh, you did finally
Did
book
you?
one?
Yeah.
To where?
Yeah. Cozumel. And
How long?
It's one day at sea, one day at Cozumel, one day at sea.
So it's a 4-day?
Yeah.
There's so much to do on those ships.
Well, and I
That's true.
I ran into someone I've known for many years, and she was like, Ken, I don't know if you're going to care for it because, she knows I like metropolitan areas. I like to get out and about. And, yeah, I know you can walk around the deck. And the things are
No.
huge.
So some of these ships have like a town square
You have
in the center of the ship that looks like a town square.
Yeah,
there's
not
always something going. And
not the Carnival Conquest, apparently.
you love I don't want to say the bar atmosphere, but there's lots of. But they will know you in a heartbeat, and you'll meet the same
You can
people.
only do that for a
So
few
much-
hours.
It keeps you busy. They have casinos. They have restaurants.
You can only do
they have
that for a few
bars,
hours.
They have shows.
But you see, you're not even embracing it. You're already talking yourself out of it.
No, not that.
What is it you like to do when you go to a resort? What do you like to do?
Sit by the pool.
All right,
and,
you can do that.
And with what I've read, you can't always get a lounger by the pool.
I don't think that's so. I saw loungers always free,
Yeah.
and there's an indoor
Well,
pool.
this is no indoor pool.
The adult only
There's
retreat looks
yep.
really cool.
There's an
Actually,
adult only pool.
not on the Conquest.
No,
I'm looking at the Conquest deck plan right now.
Is there an adult?
Yeah. The adult Serenity area at the back of the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a great place to sit because you can see everything. It's just so much fun. It really
Oh
is.
wow! Let me look at nothing.
You know what? There's
see,
something
this
to be
is-
said for that, Ken. There's something to be said for just it makes you realize how small you really are.
The thing
does.
is, he wants to come back and not.
No, because I wouldn't be
Yes.
doing what I'm doing now if that were the case.
We should all chip in and buy him a spa day.
You know, I thought I wouldn't like it either.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I thought I'd be bored as could be. And
I probably
never
won't
did.
prefer it over going to.
No, you may
I
not.
won't prefer it,
No, you
but
may not.
I doubt I'm going to hate it because I find ways of getting good deals. My room ultimately is free for this one.
There's-
They got a water slide on the ship. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't do that
We
stuff.
did not have a water slide.
He might want to.
No, I have no interest in that.
The just sailing out part.
And
is
then
fun.
getting down and I don't plunge past my head into water because everyone knows I'm completely gray now, and this is bottle. This will turn green if I do that in a pool.
Yeah, it
so,
does. Chlorine will
not
kill
going to
you.
bother with that.
Yeah.
No.
But it's great fun. Just the going out part.
But, and I'm getting
Disembark.
I am getting
So
the
much
drink
fun.
package. So
They have
you
a
know,
tequila bar.
yeah. So yeah, I know I'm going to have fun. I just might not prefer it over other things.
No,
But because I've got my mindset on this now, I'm looking at last minute opportunities for cruises end of November, beginning of December.
It's an interesting time.
Yeah,
to go.
and there are offers out there, but by the time I change it from one person to two, or from two person to one, it more than doubles. It's like you're penalized. I don't mind paying double, but now you're charging me more than double because I'm by myself. And I can't
yeah,
swallow that.
because they have to. We ran into that too because you're paying for the room, so it was X amount of money whether my daughter went or my daughter and the boyfriend went.
Right.
It was the same amount of money for the room because you're paying by the room.
Shut off your phone. Rookie.
No, so all right, so the deal is $199, all right, per person.
Where do you
That's
go? Where do
dirt
you
cheap.
Where do you embark from? Where do you go out?
The options are Fort Lauderdale, Miami Beach, and Tampa.
So where are you going?
Miami.
So you have to fly down.
Yeah, which Southwest and
Fly down the day before.
Oh,
Don't
that-
fly down
that-
the day of the cruise.
that's already taken care of. The hotel is done already.
Don't take their transport from the hotel. Uber it. They
Absolutely.
They will transport. They will tell you go back. They told us go back to the airport because they arranged transport from the airport to the ship, and we did not do that because I thought, why am I going to go back to stand in line?
Well, some of the hotels offer shuttles as well, and
Yes, they do.
I sat outside a hotel, and I watched a shuttle for a cruise come through, and not everyone could get on because the shuttle was servicing other hotels.
Yeah, we just do.
So the Uber is like $15 to get to Port of Miami.
Took us right to the ship. The only long thing, Ken, with the cruise is getting on the ship. Because
So we have express check-in. We're going on Princess.
We did all that. We did all the pre-check. We did all the pre. There's still lines, Peter.
I know. Well, you're getting a
But
couple
it's
thousand
okay.
people on the ship
That's
in a couple
the
hours.
only hard time. They complain about getting off it. We had no trouble. We were off. I don't think we sat in the lounge 20 minutes because they are so organized. These people are the best. The cruise ships are absolutely the best at moving people in, out, and around.
Yeah, they're actually better than Disney.
They are. You're right. They are, Peter. They have it down to a science. Each particular group you'll go to the lounge or you'll go to the center or you'll go to here. They'll tell you where to go, where to wait, where to stop. And they have buses.
Hey, Peter, turn off your phone.
They have transport lined up. It's quick. It's easy. They're amazing. They move thousands of people in an hour. And here, you can't even get in a line. Oh well.
As I was saying,
I'll
the
be
offers
interested.
I'm getting is $199.
I'll be interested to hear what you think. I really will.
And as soon as I change it from 2 people to 1 people, it doesn't go to 400. Okay, let's call it 199 200 because that's what it is. It doesn't go from 200 to 400. It goes to like 200 to 530.
That's interesting.
And I'm not going to do it. So now I've got myself signed up, and I've submitted my other loyalty cards from other places. So that's how I ended up getting the free room on this Carnival one.
Now it's a private room, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not outside or inside?
Outside.
That was your
Most
guess.
of them
He's going to be a little late.
Okay.
He's had a dead battery, or the electronics on his car failed, and he's getting a ride. He's just going to be a little late.
All right.
Okie dokes.
I had to take that call. That's why I leave that phone on.
And Kathy, I hear your phone going off over there too.
I can't hear it. It's on, I can't hear
So
it.
y'all were giving me hell.
I didn't say a word. I just didn't know what it was I didn't know what your phone ring was. I didn't say anything. I would never. Phones are so ubiquitous, nobody even notices them anymore. And that's the problem. Peter, we find that in theater now. And I always tell my cast, you have to keep the action on stage going. You can't have any downtime when you change sets, when you open and close curtains. You have to keep going because the very second you stop anything, bing.
Oh my God, no!
out comes
It's
those phones.
people are addicted to their phones.
We
It's
are.
worse than crack.
We are. Look at line. You go in a line.
Drives me bonker. Because even my fiance,
But I do it.
she'll start checking Facebook. I'm like, we're having dinner. Like, can you wait?
Yeah, we all do it. You watch a line in a grocery store.
I purposely do not.
Well,
Like, it can wait till I get to the car.
I try not to, but I do find myself doing it.
So that's what you're hearing. All right.
What is that?
That's Robot Chicken from Adult Swim.
Oh, God.
But now that reminds me of a story. I was at one of the used book sales at the Athenaeum a few years ago.
Okay.
And I, where the hell is it? There it is. So I've got a handful of books, so I can't just grab my phone when it starts to ring. And I had a particular ringtone on it because it irritated the guy I worked with back then. And you can just imagine everyone stopping what they're doing
Uh-oh.
in the auditorium over at the library when this started happening.
We should give that to Bobby G.
So
You should give that to Bobby G for his Amy's Dad's Joke of the Week.
I don't know. I just have a ringtone.
people just died laughing when that because I can't even get to my phone to turn it off.
All right. I know.
Yeah, I can't have something normal like the theme to Knight Rider.
Peter, what is yours?
Mine is just the stock
It's the T-Mobile ring.
stock ring.
Yeah, mine is just a ring. I don't care. Nobody ever calls me, so I don't worry about it. Once in a while, I get a robocall. Once in a great while. I still have a hardwired phone, and the only thing I get is robocalls on it.
Yeah, I've got a couple of great ringtones lined up.
Oh,
here.
I'm afraid
You didn't
to
build
hear.
that. You didn't build that. You didn't build that. You didn't build that.
Just a good old boys.
Making products that we sell around the world, stamped with 3 proud words, made in the USA.
I have all these queued up. Anyone recognize that one? BJ and the Bear.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, I got that one on here.
I am.
Remember that one?
You're really killing time now.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with fire up. I've never been with anything.
Fall
Fall
Guy.
Guy, yeah, the
Fall
Fall
Guy
Guy.
with Lee Majors. So, and then one time I was at the supermarket when that one started.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, so, yeah. Got that one in there. Safety dance. But, yeah, I'm a little unhinged, and I'm okay with that.
Unhinged, a little unhinged.
Am I
Yeah,
using,
you're a
am I
little-
am I using the correct
You're
terminology?
a little unhinged, yeah.
Yeah, unhinged.
Yeah, you're right.
Abnormal? Dare I say abnormal?
Abby normal.
Abby normal.
Abby normal.
All right, because what the hell is normal, right?
Well, Abby normal. What that was from Young Dr. Frankenstein. Remember
okay.
that movie? You don't.
I've seen it once.
Oh my God, that's the funniest movie ever. It's so darn funny. That's when he takes the brain and he says it was from somebody named Abby. And he said, Abby who? And he said, I don't know. It said Abby Normal on the brain. You don't remember that? Oh, dear God.
I don't remember that part.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. That was was it Marty Feldman? It was Marty Feldman. Yeah, the hump, and it was on either side. It's hilarious. Great movie. Great movie. Old movie, but a great movie. I have no idea what the movies are today. All the Oscars that come out, the Golden Globes that come out. Honestly, Ken, I don't know half these movies.
I don't think
that are
I've
even
seen a
out.
new movie in 5
No.
years, but I have to tell you that the Ghostbusters that's coming out,
You want to see that?
that one looks pretty good.
Maybe. I saw Maverick, and that was, 2 years ago
Yeah, I
already?
didn't
That's the
bother with
last-
that one.
I didn't want to like it, but I did. I don't have any particular feeling about Tom Cruise. Don't care yes or no, but I did like the movie. Last one I've seen. Because with TV and all the streaming and all the movies you get, why bother?
I had mentioned a few weeks ago I had to subscribe to Paramount, or not Paramount, to Peacock in order to get Ted.
Okay.
All right. So I found another reality program on there, which I've already been through, called The Traitors.
Is Ted a movie or is it a show?
It's a TV show. There's,
TV show.
It's from the movie.
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was.
It's a prequel.
Okay.
It's now the kid in high school.
Oh, jeez. The movie was hilarious. A little raw, not for
The
children.
TV show is awesome. I laughed during every episode. There's like 7 episodes. It was worth me subscribing just for that. But I'm going through some things this past weekend, and I ended up binging, I forget, on Saturday or Sunday, a show called Twisted Metal. And
Is that based upon the movie Heavy Metal?
It's based upon the Sony video game.
Oh, okay.
And it's a post-apocalyptic world, and you have modified cars trying to get from one place to another, transporting things. And it was pretty darn good. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So
I ran across Vicious. Have you seen Vicious?
no.
Oh, my God. It's on, I think it's on the Tubi channel, which is a free streaming service. And it's got Ian McClellan in it. And he plays Ian, and I don't know who the other actor is, but he's a well-known British actor. I'm not familiar with him. And they play a gay couple. And it's just, it really, truly is laugh out loud funny. It's, you can't help it. Ian McClellan is hilarious. He plays this cantankerous, old, washed-up actor who pretends to be still a great actor.
So we're not talking like Birdcage.
No.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of on that Birdcage idea. That they're this gay couple, and they've been together forever and ever and ever. Right. But his partner's mother still doesn't know that they live together and that they're a couple. It's hilarious. You have to catch it.
Hey, look.
Vicious on Tubi. It's way too funny.
We burned through the first hour. We burned through the first hour
Of what?
of this nonsense.
We're here. We're on air? You didn't tell me we were on air. Oh, my gosh. I didn't know.
So far, that's 1 hour sucked away from your lives that you're never going to get back.
Sucked right out. The breath is just, woo, gone.
You're sucking away the will to live.
In a way. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm too old to go that far. You know, I'm counting my days, honey. I'm getting up there.
You
do
see all
the
this? You
math.
see all this stuff behind me? All these piles.
Yeah.
I have piles of stuff that we can do and cover and talk about, and all we did was
And we
we
didn't get to
blew
it.
it all on AI and my questioning me going on a cruise.
I think it was actually a good discussion, actually, because these are things that people talk about every day around the table.
All right, so it is on the FM side, WSKB 89.5 FM. How about we do our top of the hour and see what happens after that?
Can I change the top of the hour? Just because of in tribute to your trip to Orlando?
Oh, here he comes now.
Ready?
You know what? You're going to do whatever you want anyway, Pete, so just do it.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you've got no lights, the check is in the mail, and your little angel hung the cat up by its tail, and your third fiancé didn't show. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed, Mr. Coffee's dead. The morning's looking bright. And your shrink ran off to Europe and didn't even write. And your husband wants to be a girl. Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
And we're back 9:05 and change here on the 5th day of March in the year 2024, Anno Domini. In the studio, we were joined by Dan Allie. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Morning, Dan.
Good
Welcome.
All right.
Good morning, Ken. Good morning, Kathy.
Nice to have you back again, as always.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I know we've been trying to have Dan on a couple of times, and every time it's scheduled, something happens, something come up, but, you know, we finally
Or
have
you
him in
leave
here.
town again.
Yeah, the last time it was the one snowstorm that we had, which was a doozy. Mm-hmm. And this morning,
That's
my car
right.
wouldn't start, so it took... God's faithful. He watches out for fools and small furry animals.
That's true.
Teresa works across the street. So my neighbor was leaving to go to church for adoration. She got in her car, had no idea how I was going to get here. I'm like, wait a minute, just We're right across the street. We're on Crown Street, where your dad lives.
Oh, yeah.
So then we just go to Franklin Street and we'll work it out. So.
Great.
But Dan has some of the best cars. I always love going by your house. You have the best cars. They're very cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we like cute cars and stuff like that. Because I was fortunate with the '66 Mustang. That was a find. Yes.
Yeah, that was a find. But you and I are both. We like the Panther bodies with Ford.
Yep.
The Caprice type bodies with GM.
Oh yeah, I always drove older cars, or what they would call antiques. They always. One is actually more affordable. You can work on them.
That you can work. If you take a look and to see what mechanics are driving, they're driving that Crown Vic. They're driving a Chevy Caprice. I mean, you can work on them. They're easy to work on. They're inexpensive to work on. The problem is the floors start to rust out on the cars of that era.
Yeah, I was lucky because all the cars that I've got either just never saw rust. Like Teresa's car came from Tennessee. Yeah. My Crown Vic came from Washington, D.C. So we were able to stay on it with, fluid film and that sort of thing, and just try to protect the bodies.
Yeah, my Seville came from Florida.
Yeah.
Not a piece of rust on it anywhere.
Yeah.
And it barely has 80,000 on it now.
Right.
And it's 1994.
Well, we've all done a lot less driving since the pandemic.
And that's one good thing that came out of that.
Yeah.
I'm not destroying cars anymore.
Correct. But if you actually stay on them and keep them coated and that sort of thing, but, and of course the Mustang never sees, even water and that sort of thing. The cars will last, and they kind of need to, because what the car payments today are just crazy.
Yeah. I saw one thing pop up on social media yesterday. It was a 2006 Ford or Chevy Trailblazer. Right? 170,000 miles for $7,000. You got to be kidding me. 170,000 miles.
Right. But if it's been taken care of, it's a vehicle that'll probably go, 300,000, and you can't find them anymore, right? And I saw a poll where people would rather have a tooth extracted than to pick up a car payment.
Yeah.
Just incredible. And you've got companies like Ford not even making automobiles anymore. I mean, we're heading to a very interesting place in this country.
Speaking of interesting places, I know we're in here to talk about growing with minerals, but I know that you're a budget-minded numbers person, and this was in the paper, this particular article in January, and we're starting to see the repercussions of it now, or we're starting to see effects of it now, and actions being taken on it. And the headline was, Healy plan could mean rise in local taxes. So before this article came out, she actually went on to say, you know what, we're going to do all this, and we're going to be successful, and we're not going to raise taxes. And then a week later, this article comes out. So days before unveiling her fiscal 2025 budget plan with state tax collections weakening, Governor Maura Healey unveiled her proposals to boost state aid to cities and towns and give municipalities the ability to raise taxes.
Surprise, surprise.
So the Municipal Empowerment Act would enable cities and towns to generate more revenue by raising the minimum option tax on hotels, motels, and other rentals from 6% to 7% of the price of the room. Healy's office said in Boston that it could go from 6.5 to 7.5. The local options meal tax could increase from 0.75 to 1% under the governor's plan, and they go on to quote somebody else in this article. I've got to be honest with you, I'm amazed the governor is saying we're not proposing any tax increases, but apparently we're going to propose ways for everyone else to raise taxes. So she's off the hook now. All right, she said she's not raising taxes, yet she wants to allow municipalities to come up on those taxes. And what's not mentioned in this article right here, a 5% extra charge on excise tax that the municipalities can levy.
Yeah, that's just beautiful. What was the name of that? That was really creative.
They called it the Municipal Empowerment Act.
I'm feeling so empowered. Yeah, it's another way of saying you can tax yourself into oblivion. We're not going to support you.
Right.
It's amazing what they're not able to do with, I think it's a $56 billion budget. I think when I first got involved in politics, Steve Pierce was complaining that the budget was going to go from $8 billion to $10 billion.
That's it, huh?
Because Dukakis was, ginning up the economy and creating, one bubble after another. And here we are at $56 billion. And even things like Chapter 90, I mean, that money hasn't been increased in 15 years, not that there's any inflation in building roads and stuff like that. That's at like between $200 and $300 million per year for all the cities and towns.
Didn't this past fiscal year we got a little bit more infused with the Chapter 90?
Possibly, but it's not anywhere near what it needs to be.
Nothing to add up.
It really needs to be like 300 to 500 million on a regular basis, especially to keep up with inflation. But in like a town like Westfield, we have so many roads. But no, government's very good at spending a ton of money. Like I said, it's a shame out of all the money that we spend. And I know at one point the registry of motor vehicles alone took in $600 million for an operation that cost $50 million. So there's almost a $500 million right there that could come back to us.
You would think that with all the registry fees and all the excise taxes, our roads would be pristine.
Well, there would be if you actually applied that. It would be over, let's say, a 15-year period. I mean, you'd have to spend $6 or $7 million a year in Westfield, and within 15 years, but you'd be maintaining your roads.
Right.
Because once they get to a certain point, they really need to be rebuilt. And they fall apart and that sort of thing. So at least with the current mayor, I mean, I've been fighting roads since even before I got elected. I mean, that was one of the issues that really pushed me over the edge. And I finally got to a point where it's like, okay, well, in any other line of work or organization, if you take money and promise a good of service, and you don't provide that good of service, like the excise tax, $5 million of that here in Westfield alone.
Originally that was supposed to be for roads and upkeep, but that goes to general fund now, doesn't it?
It does. And so, out of exhaustion, and I don't have time to run for mayor, was, all right, well, and we have a former police officer that's the mayor now. I'm like, in any other situation, if you promise a good of service, and you take money for it, and you don't provide that good of service, that's known as theft or embezzlement.
Right.
Okay? And I believe there's two forms of taxation. One is embezzlement, and the other one's extortion. And if they would just stick with extortion, we'd be all set. And so, to Mike McCabe's credit, he put, that first year, $5 million into the highway budget, which is where it belongs. Just move it over, spend the money on infrastructure. And so I was all out of tricks. I mean, you can complain, you can put, I put a question on the ballot. Charlie Baker actually restored him $100 million on his first day in office. Might have been the last really great thing that he did. And that was before lunch on his first day in office. But Westfield received $750,000. The problem was it didn't go to the roads. And I had to play 20 questions to find out where the money went. But, yeah. I mean, we're paying for it. We should be getting what we're paying for.
All right. So all that coming around the corner.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful name. That's almost like the Inflation Reduction Act. What's called? Yeah. I can hear Peter laughing.
You're the first person in here, and since that article's come out, that I could actually even say anything about this in front of, because nobody else is. Not very many people are following that. At least the guests that I've been having on. And for a couple of weeks, I just been wanting to get that off my chest. Oh no, I didn't raise any taxes.
Yeah, I know. They say it, and they mean it.
Be careful to look to the other side of my mouth.
Well,
something else is coming out that side.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't pay attention to what I'm saying or doing. Really, just take my word for it. And I voted against all the local option taxes. Because even when they make promises to get things to pass, they don't hold to the promise.
Like the hotel tax now? Are you talking about that?
Yeah. I hate to. I don't like to rub anybody's nose in the carpet. But they do things.
I'm just pushing the bear now, poking the bear. But
I try to play nice. And like I said, I don't bring up things all the time because that's not. We need to work together, but the facts are what they are.
All right. So glad we got that out. You were not here as a city councilor today.
No.
You were not here as somebody who's run for state rep here today. You're here as a farmer today.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So, about 4 years ago, I wrote a book called The Spring and Fall Planting Guide: Growing with Minerals, and which focused on the nutritional decline in vegetables since World War II. And that coincides with the rise of a lot of chronic illnesses that we have, food allergies, and other health issues since the advent of large-scale farming and the use of nitrate fertilizers and pesticides.
Okay, so you're saying it's the nitrate fertilizers that are causing the foods to not be as nutritious?
Correct. And so the original doctors, let's say during the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, that were actually treating diseases as mineral deficiencies, they were blaming the nitrate fertilizers, but simply because the nitrate fertilizers only had the 3 minerals, right? Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which will grow a pretty-looking vegetable. Problem is the plants need 40 minerals, and the human body needs 80. So they were saying, well, look at the math. The actual problem wasn't that the lack of minerals that the fertilizers contained, but it was that they were made out of salts. They're nitrate salts. We used to make bombs out of that in World War II. So all our pesticides and fertilizers that are nitrates actually came from the bomb-making materials of World War II. The first time I heard that, I almost fell out of my chair. Mm-hmm. But the real problem is those nitrate salts kill biology. So when they first started using them, the first year they have a crop, it was amazing. And the second year they would decline, and they'd say, well, now you need more fertilizer. And now it's a $170 billion industry. But what the salts do is they kill biology. And, excuse me, when it comes to growing food or vegetables and that sort of thing, when we make our own compost tea, the real value of that is the biology. It's the bacteria and fungal organisms that you're restoring back to the soil. They need something to eat. Mm-hmm. If you go to the average farm today and you looked at the beautiful brown dirt, all dirt is sand, salt, and clay. It's a mineral. It's inorganic. How you get those minerals out of that soil and into the plants themselves and into the food and into our bodies is the bacteria, the fungal organisms. They're food for protozoa and nematodes and these other organisms. And that's what worms eat. Okay? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you probably heard of people like, I want to get some, and I used to think topsoil was like the really good dirt. It doesn't exist. Uh-huh. Topsoil is made, it's all glued together and it's like a living organism, but it's made by the biology that the plants are feeding. They're eating one another, like I said, all the way up to the worms. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then that's releasing all of that nutrients and the minerals.
So if you have a worm-rich soil, odds are you're
in good shape.
A good soil.
Yeah, that's a really good sign. And if you don't have worms, it's simply because there's nothing for them to eat. I mean, how long would anything last if there's nothing to eat? So it's a chain. It's referred to as the soil food web, and you can look that up. And so Dr. Elaine Ingham, who discovered the soil food web about 40 or 50 years ago, she made 2 interesting statements that for me were lifestyle stoppers. One was, first words out of her mouth when she does a presentation. When I was in graduate school, now here's the top soil biologist on the planet. The woman can grow in pure sand and convert it to loam, and which helps in Westfield, by the way. And but when I was in graduate school, we did not understand the importance of biology when it came to agriculture. We were actually causing diseases because they didn't understand the problem with the nitrate fertilizers. So they were, genetically modified foods and all these other things trying to deal with diseases that the plants were suffering because the pathogens were attacking the plant. When the bacteria and the fungal organisms were there to keep the plant healthy, but actually protect it. It was almost like a coating. The plants were feeding those organisms. The plants were healthy, but the bad pathogens that come along in the season couldn't get at the plant because these organisms are inside the plant, they're covering it, and the plant's actually feeding them. So those oxygen-loving, beneficial bacteria, right? 98% of all bacteria, that's the stuff of life. Okay?
Yeah. Our stomachs are filled with it. Our skin is covered with it.
We have more bacteria cells than we have human cells, by about 10 trillion.
Right.
That's a healthy gut biome. And you hear a lot today about probiotics and that sort of thing. Biotics are supposed to come from our vegetables. but it has to be in the soil and inside the plants themselves. These organisms are breaking down compounds and converting things into a biologically available form for the plant. So they're actually inside the plant, not just attached to it. The plant, if it's not interrupted, will actually allow these organisms to, like mycorrhizal fungi, infect right into the root, and it actually expands the root system to the microscopic level. It's absolutely amazing. We had a wood chip pile. We create permanent beds, permanent walkways, and we'll put cardboard and we'll put wood chips down on the walkways. And so we had a pile of wood chips that was probably 6 or 7 feet tall. And because the oxygen could get in there even over the wintertime, it didn't become waterlogged. I could see the mycorrhizal fungi from the ground that had gone all the way up into the pile. There were worms 6 and 7 feet off the ground. They're not eating the mycorrhizal fungi, and they're certainly not eating the wood chips. And they were eating the other invisible things, protozoa and nematodes, that you have to see with a microscope. I could see the mycorrhizal fungi. We've all seen it. That's that white stringy stuff, and you go in the woods and a log is rotting, or it's inside the bark of a rotting tree. That's almost like the root system. And so the plant will actually allow that. If you don't interrupt it with nitrate fertilizers, it'll actually allow the mycorrhizal fungi to infect it. It comes right inside the plant. It produces a chemical that actually makes the soil slightly acidic. And if you've grown any kind of vegetables, you want your soil neutral to slightly acidic. The plant is actually able to control its own pH, which we know when you see like a holly tree or an evergreen, we can't grow flowers or grass next to it because the soil's acidic.
All right.
It's not because what made the soil acidic? The plant is actually working with the because by the time you can grow a bush or a tree, that plant's established itself and it's established the biology around it. If it's doing well, okay? And so it's controlling its own pH. It's a lot to ask a little vegetable that you're going to grow for 2 or 3 months and you've got nothing going on in the soil to be able to control its own pH. But plants can control their own pH of the soil. You might use lime the first time, but after that, if you're doing it right and that biology is building year after year, those plants can actually control their own pH of the soil. But if you interrupt it, if I provide nitrate or nitrogen through another fertilizer, I'll interrupt that process for about 3 weeks. And just about the time that plant starts struggling, time to fertilize it again. And I interrupt the process again. And if you break, it's like, how long would any of us last if we didn't eat? Right. How long do you expect a one-cell organism to last? It'll go dormant or it won't reproduce. It won't be in any kind of...
So are we talking more acid or more alkaline when it comes to a pH level that we're aiming for?
Most things link it neutral to slightly acidic, just barely. The only thing that really thrives in alkaline soil is weeds.
Okay.
Which is God's way of getting something to grow in nature, okay, that will start feeding the biology. Because the plants, we all went to school and we learned, photosynthesis, takes in carbon dioxide and gives off oxygen. Does anybody remember what happens to the carbon molecule?
So what elements are you talking about here? Because I need a word in my head.
So in the atmosphere, the most common gas is nitrogen. And we have carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
So plants, and I'll give you a little bit of a clue. Photosynthesis removes billions of tons of carbon out of the atmosphere every year.
Right.
So the plant takes in carbon dioxide and gives off oxygen.
Right.
Okay. Thank God for that. All right. And so
that makes me breathe a lot.
I'm breathing easy right now. Yep. I have a little planter on here somewhere. And but they never told us what happened to the carbon molecule.
Okay.
Makes its own fertilizer?
It turns it into a carbohydrate or a sugar, and that's called an exudate. And it's actually able to feed these oxygen-loving beneficial bacteria and fungal organisms that are in the soil, carbohydrates and sugars. And it's taking carbon out of the atmosphere and fixing it into the soil, right? What's wild is the nitrogen cycle, the bacteria in the soil can actually pull nitrogen. I thought it went all through the plant like it does with carbon. That's the carbon cycle. The nitrogen cycle is even wilder. It's the exact opposite. The bacteria in the soil is actually pulling the nitrogen down, and it's one of the ways it's doing it, and then feeding it through the mycorrhizal fungi back into the plant. But they're fixing, if you're a plant, nitrogen and carbon in the soil is money in the bank. And actually, when you do like the hot composting that we do, you're basically taking, if you like old leaves, which, they're no longer green, so there's no more nitrogen in them. It's basically pure carbon. But then you'll take like fresh grass and that sort of thing, which still has a lot of nitrogen in it. And that's a ratio. So if you're actually using equal amounts of, let's say, grass and leaves to make hot compost, with a 50% moisture and making sure that it's a pile big enough where the oxygen is able to get into it, and you're rotating it, that pile will heat up to 130, 160 degrees like in days, okay? It's heating up because of digestion. They're basically, nitrogen is the stuff of life, right? In its liquid form, it's ammonia. So when we're eating food, we're taking in nitrogen as well. When we go to the bathroom, that's the ammonia that you smell would turn into uric acid if you weren't getting rid of it. But basically, that's nitrogen. I mean, all nitrogen is.
Okay, that's the first I've heard that.
So nitrogen in its liquid form is ammonia.
All right.
Okay, you can actually, you could pee in your garden if you wanted to, or some of the more gimmicky types of composting, they'll be adding ammonia, right, to the soil.
See, I've only ever used ammonia to keep pests away from my garden.
It will, and that kind of concentrate, But in the atmosphere, it's the most common gas there is. Okay, that's N2.
Okay.
But it's as a gas, and so it's obviously mixed with oxygen and that sort of thing. But in our bodies, we need to get rid of it. Okay, so that's why we need to stay hydrated and that sort of thing. But nitrogen is really the stuff of life. That's the fuel that's feeding this bacteria. Then they get consumed by another larger organism. And now those minerals, nitrogen is in their body, right up to the worms. And then it's released into what's called a plant available form. So the worms, and none of the organisms can do it by themselves. The plants can't access. So the other statement Dr. Ingram made was, and I can do quantum mechanics, and I really can't wrap my head around this one, is 1 gram of the sand, silt, and clay has enough minerals to fertilize 10 acres. So the plants are sitting in minerals, but they can't access it directly. And neither can the organisms that are breaking it down, because bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi, they basically produce acids and enzymes. They sort of live in a little jelly bubble, sort of glue particles together and that sort of thing. But those acids and enzymes break down the minerals that are in the sand, silt, and clay. So the plants are actually immersed in minerals. Now we add
So we have to do something to help coax that out, or help the plant to do its thing.
So if you've ever had a vegetable and it really had no flavor, and I feel bad for these kids that eat, first of all, baby carrots, okay? That doesn't exist, okay? I'm not sure what that product is. But if you ever had a carrot that had absolutely no flavor, well, you and I probably have had a carrot that was halfway decent, or once in a while we'll have one.
My issue is I have plants that don't fruit. Or that they do fruit, they're small and of low quality.
So they need light, and they need to be able to feed themselves. That's fundamental to be healthy and be able to do what the plant's supposed to do. Because the plant only has enough hormone to do one thing at a time. So it's either growing roots, growing a stem, growing a flower, or a fruit, or leafing, or whatever it's doing. It can only do one thing at a time in a certain cycle. But it has to receive what it needs and that sort of thing. And so sometimes it is amendments, but a lot of times we believe we have poor soil, but that's not it. Or we don't have a green thumb. That plant's struggling for a reason. So it needs to be, and anything you're growing, look where the plant comes from, and what are the conditions it really wants to grow in. Sometimes you'll put it in a bad spot, and there could be something going on in that soil. Or it's too warm, or it's exposed to the wind, and that sort of thing, or it's too close to something else. You want to be able to give it the right conditions, and then we add things like, there's a thing called azomite, and it's a volcanic rock from Utah. And you can get it like in a powder, almost like a pelletized form. And that it has all the trace minerals. So we're ensuring that all the minerals are there.
Okay, we're kind of leading into, what I have written down here. If you have bad soil, what do you do to improve things? So,
well, obviously,
sounds like we're starting ahead there.
Well, like I said, when she made the statement that 1 gram of the sand, silt, and clay has most of the minerals, to fertilize 10 acres. I'm like, wait a minute, what is the problem here? What is missing?
Yeah, I have a hard time getting that through my head.
Yeah, like I said, I can do, even I don't know what I'm doing when I'm doing, quantum mechanics, Planck's constant times the speed of light, and I'm like, okay, great, whatever. But yeah, how do you quantify that, and that sort of thing. And I grew up in regular traditional landscaping. I could probably grow grass on a bowling ball if I had to. Worked on family farms and that sort of thing, and that was just a showstopper. So I was already doing the hot composting, the technique of it, but not really understanding that the importance was the biology that was in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the role that biology plays in accessing those minerals in the soil and helping the plant to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so even like the book, I never really I never set out to write a book. We actually just completed the book last night. It's going to the printer today. And it'll be out, I think, like March 18th. And so really what it was, and we've sold hundreds of copies of it, because I wanted to share the information locally. I needed it for the Conservation Commission. I gave it to the members and that sort of thing. It was my notes. It was things that I was learning. I started writing it, as a spring and fall planting guide because, I wanted to try to keep track of those dates. You're trying to grow something and not have it, the green beans come in the week you go on family vacation. And you're like, oh, that's great. That was, that was bad timing. And I got tired of looking up, the dates off the seed packages or finding out, I should have started that 3 weeks ago and that sort of thing. And so we've been working on the book, during the off season here.
Right.
And there's a lot of new information in it.
And I flipped through it briefly. There's a lot of science going on in that book.
But it's very, very easy to use. But because now we actually wrote it as a book, it's a lot easier to
instead
follow.
of a guide.
A pile of notes. There was so much repetition, and it was awful when you're trying to. I'm the writer, one of the researchers, editor, and the graphic designer. So, and you're working with the same information in different places. But we had some really good people, including doctors and different people that were amazing in helping to write this and just to edit it to make it easier for people. Plus, this will be the first time, like in the page we have right there, Kathy, this lists all the minerals and the foods. First of all, it lists the deficiencies that if you weren't getting certain minerals, you might have those symptoms. But it also lists the foods that you could eat, whether it's vegetables, nuts, mushrooms, fish, whatever. So it's identifying those issues that you might have, either too much of a certain thing and that sort of thing. So I think this will be very helpful for people as well. And just to make the guide a lot more usable. Plus, I never had it was not in the kind of condition where I could say, let's put it on Amazon. People would say, well, how do you get the book? Well, it was available at local businesses and Westfield Feeds, and East different businesses, doctors' offices would have it and that sort of thing. In fact, we'll have it at a new business in town called Energy Up, which is in the old Mama Cakes location.
Oh, okay.
They just opened March 1st, and so I think she's open from Wednesday through Sunday.
Energy Up. Is that the new nutritional drink
Juicing,
place? Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Yep. That's Becky Gotts, and amazing lady. I met her through the Westfield Farmers Market. She's actually recovering from breast cancer, and or got over it, and it was through juicing. Which juicing is very helpful when you're trying to do a cleanse or get to where you need to be quickly. You got to use carefully afterwards. But the health benefits of a lot of these things has just been the most gratifying thing of all. We're in a place now, just years down the road. I have a friend at church who needed a liver transplant. And so I was supplying him different vegetables, different greens, the Russian baby kale for him to juice. And about 6 months ago, they found a donor. And they went to do the testing, and the doctor said, you don't need the liver. The cancer's gone. I only knew that he needed a liver because he had hepatitis C when he was younger, and ended up with sclerosis of the liver, which damages the liver. I didn't know that he had cancer, but I guess that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, Hep C will destroy a liver if
it destroys the liver and that sort of thing. So he was just absolutely glowing. And then through the testing, the doctor says, your liver looks better than it did 2 years ago. So he stayed on the list. He wanted to stay on the list and that sort of thing, but the doctor's like, well, do you want, if another donut comes available, do you want the, and he's like, no, I'm, you know, but he knows what he's doing, and that sort of thing. And then, like, I brought in some Haymaker's Punch, which you guys can share, and that sort of thing. This is an absolutely amazing drink as well. So we advocate drinking Haymaker's Punch, bone broth, which I've been making, as well as the vegetables. And the health reports of people coming back, now this is just made with, you know, water, the juice of a whole lemon, apple cider vinegar with the mother, and maybe a ginger in there, and what else? There's 4 ingredients. I think I'm missing one.
Yeah. And I know what we're talking about when we say with the mother, when you're talking about apple cider vinegar. Some of our folks may not know what you're referring to. We're referring to, in some cases, the mother can end up, it looks like a disc inside your vinegar, or it can be more like a powder residue that ends up collecting at the bottom.
Right, it's unfiltered.
Yeah, it's unfiltered cider, not the Heinz stuff you buy for $2.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, apple cider vinegar is great. We use that in pickling and that sort of thing. But with the mother, it's unfiltered. And I mean, apple cider vinegar with the mother, people will drink that with like a little bit of water and lemon and that sort of thing. It's amazing as far as like lowering high blood pressure.
Blood pressure, heart issues, diabetes. Diabetes is, at least with me, I notice a change with consuming cider vinegar.
Yep.
But with the mother, you have to have, because those are all like are they probiotics in that mother? Because I look at that, at that like a sourdough starter. It's alive.
Yeah, it's
living.
Yeah. If anything, can live in vinegar. Yeah, exactly. But that with the lemon. Basically, they break down calcium. So we've had a lot of people come back and have reduced kidney stones because it makes your body unfavorable environment for producing kidney stones, which I've never had one. I never want to have one.
No, I don't even want to think of it.
No, I never have either.
I've never heard anything good about them.
You've been,
no one has ever said I want to.
You've been quiet up until now. Have you ever gotten this scientific when it comes to growing things on your farm?
Absolutely, it's all science.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on a degree in microbiology, I can tell you that right now.
But you also, in addition to growing your products, you also process them for sale.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
And what are some of the things that you're processing and selling, and how can people get it?
First of all, we've actually created a website called growingwithminerals.com, and in this past year, we added we've added work shares and crop shares, because one of the things that we're doing is that it's a local farm, and we've removed some of the obstacles that would stop somebody from, let's say, having a farm or growing their own food. Okay, one is the cost. We don't have to buy the land, so we're using either unused farmland or in parts of people's yards and that sort of thing. And then the equipment. You're not farming acres and acres, so you don't need tractors and that sort of thing. And the other thing that we were able to do is, as we grew, we needed volunteers. So we have work shares and people actually treating it as their own farm and that sort of thing. So I was offering vegetables, where I went to church, and people were able to buy it, with the crop shares and that sort of thing. They would just have money on an account. We're at the Westfield Farmers Market, and we're going to be looking to have things at local businesses. We may even do something with Energy Up, because then we would have a place. Nabil Hanoush had actually wanted to have a farm stand over at the Shortstop Bar and Grill, but for me it was a capacity thing. In other words, to be able to produce enough. We supply them with their the cherry tomatoes during the summer, and sometimes with cucumbers. But you need to have a consistent amount of product and that sort of thing. Restaurants, he'll go through like 90 heads of romaine lettuce in a week. So for me, it was bringing enough land in production to be able to even handle even one restaurant and that sort of thing. So this year we'll have Growing with Minerals. People will be able to order on the website, and then we'll either have them picking it up at our house, and we've got to come up with another way. So we'll be looking at businesses where people could pick it up on a regular basis and have greater access to it. But we really needed to be able to create that capacity. So one was the last couple of years have been a building process. We built a nursery, we've built greenhouses and that sort of thing, brought land into production. We actually have a facility where we could wash, dry, and process vegetables. Built our own walk-in cooler and that sort of thing. So we needed those things to be able to store any amount of vegetables for any amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So up to this point, like I said, it's just been family and friends and that sort of thing, and a few customers. But this year we'll be able to do a little bit more.
With all your luck with growing things, you're going to love this, Kathy. I have to go here. With all your luck with growing things, especially because of your location, would it be unfair to me to say you have a head start or you're already doing well because you are on Union Street and that was all farmland originally?
A lot of Westfield was all farm originally.
Uh-huh.
People used to live on farms. That's what they were doing before
Yeah.
World War II, and our food all came from,
I'm related to people who grew up on farms down there originally.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain challenges with farming, obviously, last year, and it still hasn't stopped raining since last April. In some parts of it where it's low, we can grow celery, which will take all the water you can throw at it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll eventually grow asparagus there.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year with all the rain and the reduced strength of the sun, we only had 2 days in the 90s last year. And during the summer, I think we had 5 days in a row in September, but that doesn't help the vegetables that in July.
August was not a good month for a pool in this
It
area
was
last
awful,
year.
yeah. And with the wildfires, and then when the El Nino, and so the last 2 or 3 years we've had reduced solar activity. And people, we don't notice it, but the plants notice it, especially the ones that really want that hot heat. When you start talking tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Peppers took forever last year. They would grow, but they really want that hot, strong sun, end of June and part of July.
Mm-hmm.
Eggplants, it was just, please.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't replace that. So that was the time when we had all the wildfires and the smoke in the area.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You and I would
I
help.
once saw that farming is one of the most stressful jobs, and that is because you are at the mercy of the weather.
Yeah, so thankfully I don't need this as far as an income. And so I've been able to do things where I'm able to stick with this and just, work with volunteers. We'll build it up as we can. There's an incredible demand for it. As word gets out with, like they said, the health benefits and certain things, some of the stuff that they can do on their own. And one of the things I'm very excited about this year is we're going to be adding a medicinal garden. Because more and more we've gotten pushed into people with health conditions saying, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, diabetes, but it's everything, obesity, it's high blood pressure, and inflammation, autoimmune diseases, which are off the Richter scale.
So you're heading into homeopathics, basically, or?
Well, homeopathic is basically, medicinal garden is more like natural healing.
Mm-hmm.
Homeopathic is almost when you're taking something that would almost kill you in a small enough amount, and then the thing that reacts to it is the thing that will actually cure. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So that's why there was such a war by the American Medical Association. We got to get rid of the homeopathic guys because these guys are really crazy.
And most of that stuff isn't FDA approved either. They
will never approve it.
Yeah.
Natural healing, there's no money in healthy people.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, there's no money in healthy people. So when it came to natural healing, these guys already had enough of a problem, but, and there's a book called The School of Natural Healing, which is absolutely amazing. These were things that even during the Depression when people didn't have any money
mm-hmm.
and people would get hurt or have health issues, whatever, they could be told, no, just go out and mix up this tincture, this salve, this tea
mm-hmm.
with these things that are growing around you and make certain things.
Right.
And it's amazing that these things, like one of the first products we'll be able to bring to market is called comfrey oil. And that helps the body to heal. It'll heal bones that are broken after they're set. Bones will heal in a third of the time. But all that soft tissue, cartilage, tendons, ligaments, and all that sort of thing in your joints, I've recovered from injuries. Now I do yoga, and I have an inversion table.
Mm-hmm.
And I've recovered from injuries, some going back to childhood. I had one injury as a kid that when I went in the service, I was originally assigned to the 10 Special Forces. Well, all of that, even though my background was communications, is airborne qualified. And there was no way I was going to get through jump school at the end of school because my back was aggravated. And but I had put my back out as a kid. That's 50 years ago. Comfrey, it's just absolutely amazing. We had an 80-year-old man that helps us on the farm, and he had hurt his foot, so I gave him some Comfrey oil to treat his foot. He hadn't been able to turn his neck in years. So he puts him on his neck. The next morning, they kept asking him about his foot because we were testing a lot of these things. Let us know how this works. He's going like this with his head. He goes, I can turn my neck. I think he got to use it like once,
Right.
On a serious injury, you might use it 2 or 3 times, but it was how fast that worked.
How do you keep someone like me from looking at this and just going, oh, snake oil? It's all they got cured because it's
we
in
got
their
free
mind.
samples that we'll give people, and it's like, and the thing is that when people come back, because they'll think it's like this is crazy or whatever, or oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, I can't help but go back 15 years ago. I was at a convention, and I was sitting in the hot tub at a hotel with a couple of the other business people, and just at that very point in time came the spray that you would spray into your mouth 2 or 3 times a day. And it was supposed to cure everything. And, a few months, I was able to buy into it. I didn't. But a few months later, the commercials were all over the television. This will cure all of your ailments. And then, a year later, you don't even hear of it anymore.
Right.
So, and I'm not saying I don't believe in any of this, but it's hard for a lot of people to believe because we've been around so much of that where 1 or 2 applications of this miracle thing can actually help. Ozempic has changed my mind a little bit. That's helped me immensely, and it's just one thing that I did to change. But how do you get your mind around accepting the fact that, well, yeah, this can actually work and can happen?
Well, one is seeing is believing. So as we built the farm, and people would come by and see the quality of the vegetables, and because they can see that at the farmer's market as well, but they're seeing the soil get transformed. Okay, where there wasn't a single worm on the property I was working on. Now it's like a worm maternity ward. Okay, you've commented on how much weight I lost. All right,
right,
in the last few years, and that was really all the minerals and giving the body what it needed. Yeah, I was working, but I've always worked hard and that sort of thing. I started drinking Haymaker's Punch when we go door to door, and I knew about this just because it was better than drinking water, which is where that came from. But it's testing something and then seeing the real benefit of it. I'm wearing clothes that I've got belts on. This belt that I have on now, I had this when I was in high school. Right? I was in the Army from the time I was 19 till 22. I can wear my Army uniform.
Right.
That's a 29-inch waist pants, and I'm swimming in it. And so when you actually see the benefit, like you said, you've tried this and that sort of thing, people have come back with us. They've asked me, like, what are the benefits of the various ingredients? And you can look those up online. Some of the combined benefits that people have expressed, or their doctors are telling them this is why this is working, is that's not even part of that list.
Yeah, I look at least the apple cider with the vinegar. I look at ginger. I look at honey. I know the benefits of all of those. Now, I would assume it's a local honey too.
It is, yeah, but any raw honey will do because honey is an amazing food. It restores electrolytes, and that's one of the biggest things. You'll notice a difference in your body immediately, or within a few weeks, whatever, of electrolytes.
Right.
All right, as far as energy and that sort of thing. The reason we promote the bone broth is it's a different kind of energy. Everything else we eat, sugars, carbohydrates, whatever, proteins, whatever, has a little bit of a spike. You eat it, you feel a little bit of energy, and then it goes away. Right. Bone broth, because it's drawing out of the bones itself, it's stamina versus energy. In other words, it's like minerals. If I need it 3 days from now, 5 days from now, I have it. Right? Like I said, everything else has sort of this cycle of this short little spike.
Yeah, I make bone broth myself.
Yep.
And I absolutely I love it.
Yeah. So the other thing is that leafy greens. When I'm looking at a lot of the health benefits that are listed here, and a lot of the mineral deficiencies, we have a lady that works with us. She's a vegetarian. She weighed 300 pounds at one point. You saw her today. You can't even believe it, right? She went to give iron She donates blood. A year ago, she went to give blood. It was at 15.2, which means nothing to me. It's like bloating. I don't understand it, whatever, all right? But women do. She was floating. My iron's at 15.2. I talked to her last week because I actually mentioned it a lot of times with people, and her iron's at 16, which doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not a doctor. But so she was getting iron from the greens, from the leafy greens, because those vegetables were actually pulling up the minerals that were there. We were making sure that they were there, but now the plants could actually obtain that. So even though she doesn't eat meat, her iron is just like escalated. And iron is very necessary for a lot of things, you know. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but I know that these things work. And we've been doing it, and like I said, this is probably at least our 4th year. I mean, we started out in a home garden, and now we're, built it up to where it's a small farm.
Yeah. Your bone broth, is that do you only do beef with that, or
no? Because it's getting harder and harder to find bones and that sort of thing. So what I'll do is maybe once a week I'll bake a chicken. I'll roast a chicken, and then when that's done, I'll take all the meat and I'll actually make a soup stock out of it.
Right.
Okay? And put that in there for 2 hours, and then that carcass is immediately coming right out and going right into the crock pot for about 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. And so you end up with this nice clear liquid, because any of the fats are separated in the in the soup stock, and you can freeze that and save that ready.
At that point, the only thing you're extracting is the collagen from the bone.
Exactly, and then you probably put like 2 stalks of celery, 2 carrots, rough cut, I would say medium-sized onion.
All right, so that would be a mirepoix, ladies and gentlemen.
And 5 cloves of garlic with a little bit of a bay leaf, and maybe a couple of teaspoons of just white vinegar, and that helps the whole process. And you can do it in 12 hours, but 24 to 48 hours is probably a little bit better. And whatever you can drink in the next 4 or 5 days, you can have. Otherwise, I would freeze it. Sometimes even 2 cups of that could actually become part of the base for a soup.
Right.
And so you'd have that, and it's absolutely amazing.
I can certainly attest to the bone broth, because, as I said, I make it and I feel good when I ingest it.
Yeah, it's a different form of energy. It helps with digestion. Obviously, bloating and that sort of thing. Collagen is very necessary for your joints and stuff like that. It helps with wrinkles. We start losing collagen in our teens, really, and so it's a very necessary thing for your joints and whatever. And so it's a totally different form of energy. We're going to get you some of the leafy greens and that sort of thing this year.
How well do those juice? Because I have a slow-speed masticator at home that I really should be using a little more often.
We grow a lot of collard greens and curly kale and a thing called Russian baby kale. So it's actually picked as a baby, has a mild flavor, and you can eat it raw in a salad, and it's amazing. But they juice up very, very well, and they have a lot of juice in them. Matter of fact, Energy Up tested a lot of our products last year, the celery, and this year they're looking for like the beets and the carrots, parsley, which is another amazing healthy thing that you can do.
And I know I'm doing it right, because I paid attention, I looked into things, and that's why I'd gotten a slow speed masticator. Because if you get one of the machines with the centrifuge, and it can heat up, and you can actually lose some of the nutritional value of what you're trying to do.
And what's nice about collard greens is one, we can grow them from April right into the fall. And they kind of take a little bit of a beating, when the aphids come out, like in August and that sort of thing. We just keep taking care of the plant.
I have to get my head around collard greens without being cooked in some nice pork fat and Southern style. I mean, that's one of my favorites.
That's a good thing to eat, but it's just like, and they cook it for forever.
Yeah.
But what's nice about that is you're able to just strip it off the stem, chop it up. Once it's washed, and we wash and process everything, nothing that we have ever sees chlorinated water. The water is filtered, because chlorine kills biology indiscriminately. So even when we're washing the vegetables, they don't know chlorine exists. But you can, collard greens, once it's stripped off, you could chop it up and just freeze it. You don't have to blanch it or anything, that sort of thing. So you could have, in freezer bags, a good amount of collard through the season, and get you through the winter as well. But it juices up very, very well, and you get a lot more juice out of something. And then I would still use the material afterwards into a soup or something like that. Don't throw that stuff away. Make something out of it, and that sort of thing.
So about 3 minutes left to go. I do have one more question I want to run by you. Excuse me. I want to do a garden this year. All right, and I'm talking in general, not me myself here. So I'm ready. I want to plant a garden. I want to get something started, but I didn't think about it last year, so I don't have any of my own compost. And you're saying, well, you really need the compost in order to get your minerals back into your soil. So how do I get started if I didn't think ahead last year to create any compost?
Well, if you can get your hands on leaves from last year, that would certainly help. And as soon as you start mowing your lawn, you're going to have, like in April, you're going to have a ton of compost. If you can make a good-sized pile of that, maybe like 5 by 5, maybe 5 feet tall, it'll heat up pretty quickly. And once it reaches about 130 degrees in the center, you can just keep rotating it. Just maintain about 50% moisture, which would be enough if you squeeze it. You'd see a little bit of water coming out, but it's not waterlogged. Just needs water and oxygen. You could rotate it. If you flipped it every couple of days, you'd have finished compost in 30 days.
All right. Well, what if you have a yard like mine, and the best I can do is a couple of platforms and buckets for planting?
It actually doesn't take much compost because we think we're doing something because we're adding a bunch of compost. It's really the biology that makes the topsoil. So you're just supplying some.
Okay.
But even like West Springfield, they've got compost yards and stuff like that where you can get a few buckets or a trailer load or whatever. It's mixing some in.
All right, so it doesn't have to be completely broken down into what it looks like as soil.
You want it finished. You don't want to be able to recognize it because that's how this all started. I put stuff that was not broken down, and I made a mess of biblical proportions. That's how this all got started.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah, don't put too much because actually the biology in the ground is going to consume all the nitrogen. There won't be anything for the plants.
All right, so Dan Allie, the book is called Growing with Minerals, Spring and Fall Planting Guide.
Yep, and it'll be available about March 18th, and it'll be at Westfield Feed, East Hampton Feed, and other local businesses as well. And you can order it on the website, growingwithminerals.com.
Okay. All right, I want to... anything to add, Kathy?
No, very interesting.
Because you've been quiet.
Listening. No,
That's because I do too much talking.
Yeah, well, Kathy, you're not going to be able to be too quiet in a few weeks.
No.
If I tell you what's going on here, next week I have Kelly Pease coming in here. He's been asking to get in,
Yes,
so we finally found a date for him to come in here. 2 weeks from now, Making the List happens, and I believe our wonderful superintendent won that one.
Okay.
So he's going to have to come up with a topic, and we're all going to try to take that belt away from him.
Gotcha.
Yeah. 3 weeks from now, Kathy, you have another program to do.
Back again.
All right. So it'll be time for Kathy's Corner. So that is what we have coming up on the Den. Once again, Dan, I want to thank you for coming in and talking to us about growing with minerals.
All right, well, thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me.
Always good to have you.
All right. We'll see you next time.
All right.